Blessings and greetings and blessings, blessed souls. We're alive because we're meriting to stay alive in this most existential of moments with the intent of being configured to Torah Chaim, instructions of life, Torah Chesed, norms of kindness, Torah Rach, instructions of mercies. We're about 2 hours before the Blessed Shabbat commences here in Kesser Crown Heights, broadcasting live from the Golan Heights section of Kesser Pisgah, live from Turtle Island, aka USA, Unified Soul Actualization. And I wanted to share something with you, which is a little bit painful in our history, Israelite history, that there was almost a tremendous civil war that broke out within the tribe of Levi, the Levites, the Levium. And you can learn more about this by going to chapter 16 onward in the fourth book of the Torah, also known as the Midbar, the book of Numbers, you would call it. And there was this tension between two cousins. One was the legitimate leader of Israel, Moses, the mighty Levite prophet, and his cousin Korach, who was also a legitimate person, but the spirit of jealousy overcame him, and he tried to gather from within the tribe of Levi and also two members of the tribe of Reuben, Shevet Reuven, Dasan and Aviram, to be contentious against the idea that the brother of Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, Aaron, should be given the high priesthood of Israel, and Korach felt that he should be. And he felt that the nepotism that seemed to occur in his mind by Moses appointing Aaron, his brothers, being the high priest, therefore the head of the tribe of the Levites, the Levites. Moses had the title of being the head of all of Israel at that time. He felt that too close for comfort, and Moses picked his brother, not because he was more qualified than anyone else, but because he was the brother. But the truth of the matter is, Moses, being the prophet of Israel, gave that assignment to his brother because he was told by the Most High, this is the one who should be the high priest of Israel. Korach and his followers went down in a very unusual way, the way they passed on. And afterwards, the children of Israel complained against Moses, and they associated one of the most important services at the time in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, eventually one of the most important services in the Holy Temple, and will be reinaugurated, restored, I should say, when Mashiach Tzidkenu, our righteous Messiah, comes back, or is revealed for the first time, whatever you want to say. So, with that being said, I'd like to, after Korach and his 250 co-conspirators, again, the majority of them from the tribe of Levi, had passed on, there was still left the aspect of tremendous fear and trepidation on the part of the rest of the Israelites, because they were associating the service of the Ketores, the incense, causing a lot of death. And in fact, the Creator had in fact been incensed by the fact that the leadership of Moshe, and the Most High had chosen Moses, to be the leader of Israel. An epidemic manifested and killed 14,700 people, aside from those who died on the account of Korach's dispute. And again, I'll ask you to go to the Chumash, the Torah, the Bible, to read the account yourself. First, to learn it with Rashi is very important. So at that point, Moshe gave an instruction to Aaron and he burnt the incense, because he was a legitimate high priest, to make atonement for the people. Now, how would they have known that the burning of incense would make atonement for the people and therefore stop the plague from keeping on spreading? Is that when Moshe went to heaven at the time of the transmission of the Torah, Moshe had received many secrets from the angelic realm, and one of them is that incense stops plagues. Here we are in a plague ourselves, right? The pandemic of COVID-19. We'll get to that in a moment. In the verse in chapter 17, 12, Aaron took the fire pan just as Moshe had told him and ran to the midst of the congregation. Indeed, the plague had already begun among the people. He put the incense on the fire pan and made atonement for the people. So something about the incense, perhaps something now can stop this epidemic or this pandemic, as it's being called. So Rashi mentions that when it says in verse 13, he stood between the dead, Rashi mentions he took hold, stopped him against his will, meaning the angel of death. The angel said to him, "Let me carry out my mission." Aaron responded, "Moshe commanded me to stop you," meaning the brother, the high priest of Israel, was commanded by the leader of Israel to stop the angel of death from continuing on with the plague. The angel responded, "I am a messenger of the omnipresent. You're only the messenger of Moshe." So Aaron replied, "Moshe doesn't say anything on his own, but only by the word of the Almighty. If you do not believe this, the Holy One, source of blessing, and Moshe are here at the entrance of the tent of meeting," meaning of the tabernacle. "Come with me and ask them." And this is what it says, and then Aaron then returned to Moshe. There's another explanation. Why was the plague stopped through the incense? Because the people of Israel were criticizing and maligning the incense, saying that it is poison. Through it, Nadav and Avihu, two of the sons of Aaron, were killed by it. And through it, 250 men were burnt. The Holy One, source of blessing, therefore said, "You will see that it stops plagues, and it is sin that it kills." So I was very intrigued by this because, again, the language that was used to describe the plague in Hebrew is Megepha, which means plague, and we are, as many, some people don't believe it's a plague or a pandemic. It can also be called a Megepha, a plague. So I brought this idea to one of the individuals who pray in my shul, the famous Frankel shul in Crown Heights. Rabbi Yosef Würzburg, who was one of the teachers of Hadat Torah, a yeshiva for young men who are coming back to their roots in Judaic lifestyle, the Mosaic law, both written and oral tradition. And he mentioned to me, he saw something by the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, that there is a service of Ketores that we can do now and can produce life-affirming results. But the service within the human experience here right now, now on June 26, 2020, which corresponds to Daled Tammuz, is the service, the avoda of how we are thinking within our mind. And think about it. The Ketores, the incense, were burned in a place where the people could not see it. It was in a very concealed, modest area within the tabernacle, and eventually in the first and second temple, and then renewed at the time of the third temple. Eternal temple. Basically, Mikdash Shlishi, Nitzchi. Würzburg mentioned, the Alter Rebbe said, how we think is a form of incense to the Almighty. So what would happen, blessed souls, if 7.7 billion human beings, all blessed and anointed, shouldn't be disappointed with the fact that they have a divine image, but get out and scrimmage and start to use their power of thought towards ending hatred, jealousy, and competition? Perhaps we wouldn't be surprised by the positive outcomes. We can inject ourselves with love of humanity, love of Creator, love of creation for each and every nation in this generation, soulful revelation. And may all of this correspond or transpire in a way of a Havachad, one love, Gor Lachad, one destiny, Kolan of Oz, B'darchinam Darchi Shalom, a pleasant, peaceful manner. And I end off with saying, as we get ready closer and closer to the Shabbat, we've all got to be good because Teva Tov Lehetiv, it's the nature of the good to do good. The Creator who's the source of our goodness. It's ever so patient for us to activate that goodness. And I say, I've got to be good for anyone else. That will inspire you, and then you've got to be good, and you'll inspire someone else. And all of a sudden, 7.7 billion people will be good because they're activating that personal service of the burning of the incense within their human living experience to remove hatred, jealousy, and competition, and to promote the idea that together as one human family experience, we can inject ourselves with the vaccine of love and respect, nurturing and mercy. Wishing you a good Shabbat Shalom, wonderful week whenever you see this video. And we've got to end off with our trademark smile.